Well, good morning, guys. It is November 2nd, 2019, and it's a Saturday morning. It is 69 degrees here in Central Florida. Now, that sounds great because it is. In Central Florida, when you get down to 90 degrees, you know a cold front has come through. So 69 degrees seems sublime. I have a brother that lives up in Minnesota, and he says it's in the 30s up there right now. I would like it to get a lot cooler here, but not quite as cold as that necessarily. I don't mind the cold. I just don't want the snow. I'm not equipped. I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared to drive around and all that. I mean, Floridians are barely prepared to drive in the rain. You should see them. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, I'm out here on Saturday morning because I dropped my wife off down at a lake here called Lake Hollingsworth. And it's just roughly under 3 miles around. And there's a can't even say this right. There's a breast cancer awareness walkathon going on that she's participating in through her workplace. She asked me if I wanted to go. I said, no, not really. I'd rather go to Dunkin' Donuts than sit there. And she asked me why. And I said, well, I don't know anybody there at your work. And there's going to be a lot of beautiful women down at the lake. I can't have all that happening, you know, with all the fawning over my beard, pawing my beard, fainting. That could be an issue in my marriage. Anyway, so I decided before I go to Dunkin' Donuts, I'll make this video and share it with you guys. So speaking of beards, stay tuned because I'm going to have some beard product reviews coming up in the very near future. And I think you guys will enjoy them. I'm going to be bringing you stuff that's going to help you look better, smell better, feel better, and it's just going to be great for you all the way around, save you some money. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Speaking of not being prepared very well, you know who's not prepared? Me, because I just mentioned Dunkin' Donuts, and it made me think I really need to get on the ball. I mean, can you imagine me getting them to sponsor a video? Dunkin' Donuts, right? I don't even have a donut in my hand, a coffee cup or anything else like that. I mean, there's so little thought put into these things. But I'll tell you who else is unprepared. People who want to travel to Mars, like Elon Musk. You know, I'm sure that you've heard a lot about him and what's going on in the news and what he's got planned and how he wants to venture to Mars. And I mean, have these people really thought all this through? Now, I don't believe in Martians. I don't believe in life on other planets. But these people do, right? They believe in it. And what I would ask them is, are you really prepared for what might lie ahead if what you believe to be true is? No one ever thinks of Martians as being friendly. They think of them as being hostile, right? I mean, capable of taking over and obliterating an entire planet, but not even making their own habitable, right? I don't see the sense in that, but they do. So are they actually prepared? I'm going to tell you a little something. I'm going to read you a little something from Time magazine that comes from 1939. Many of you have heard of War of the Worlds. It was a book written by H.G. Wells. I've read it. I didn't enjoy it. I thought his writing was horrible. I didn't like that or The Time Machine. I just think that both of those books were horrible. My wife liked The Time Machine. I did not. I didn't like either one of those. So I've never read anything else by H.G. Wells. But the movies are not too bad. The Tom Cruise movie is great. And so it's one of those cases where I think that the movie is actually better than the book. But back in 1939, Orson Welles did a War of the Worlds program on the radio, and people completely freaked out. They completely wigged out. And because they realized they weren't prepared. Just like I was prepared. Just like people nowadays aren't prepared to go deal with Mars, even though they want to go anyway. They were not prepared for an invasion. So this is kind of an ironic, weird, eccentric way that one particular person dealt with this issue. This is the way he prepared for it. and just smacks of insanity. So here it is. I'm going to read this article to you. Listen carefully. I hope I read it well. I hope it falls upon the ear nicely, but I'm not promising anything. So here we go. Here's what Time magazine said. It said, among U.S. citizens who listened last winter hair on end to actor Orson Welles' Martian newscast, which described in detail an invasion of the U.S. by spaceships from Mars, was a 22-year-old airplane mechanic named Cheston Eshelman. More piqued than panicked, he got an idea. He wanted to pay the Martians' return visit, stake out a refuge for harmless people during the next war. Chief problem was how to fly there. He had serviced many a plane, but had never piloted one. Mechanic Eshelman forthwith took 8 hours flying instruction, 4 hours solo. Last week, equipped with a khaki flying suit, a pistol, 7 rounds of ammunition, 2 chocolate bars, sandwiches, and 55 cents, he marched blithely into one Edward Waltz's drive-yourself aerodrome at Camden, New Jersey, rented a 2-seated high-wing Luscombe monoplane for $9 an hour. In its gas tanks were 8 gallons, barely enough for a 175-mile hop. Novice Eshelman, an astral gleam in his eye, took off for what he said would be Mars, 51,813,800 miles away. Near Philadelphia, he lighted briefly to take on 55 gallons, which he later explained was to carry him beyond gravitational pull where he could glide the rest of the way. He took off again, headed north over a fog-blanketed Atlantic. By the time owner Walt had raised the alarm for his uninsured monoplane, Cheston Eshelman was skittering hither and yon, munching chocolate, trying to find a hole in the fog. At dawn, still well within Earth's gravitational pull, his fuel line broke, and he panicked. I'm sorry, he didn't panic. That's wrong. He pancaked. I need reading glasses when I do this. He pancaked into the Atlantic about 175 miles southeast of Boston. A trawler fished him from the sea seconds after the plane sank. Oil-stained, tattered, handcuffed, but merry as a tumbling bug, Cheston Eshelman returned to Camden under police escort and was tossed into jail. Now, this is a guy who was fully not prepared. He had drive, he had ambition, he had a dream, he had a goal, but he didn't have a real great plan. But he was willing to take action. It's always good to take action, but it's also good to have a plan for that action. Some people are too afraid to even act. Some people just simply don't plan well. But you need to do both. You do need to act, and you do need to plan. But you don't want to come across as insane. I mean, this Cheston Eshelman sounded pretty insane, right? But that's really my sanity, I should say, has been questioned for far less. I mean, I may not get into a plane that I rent for $9 an hour and have 55 cents and chocolate in my hands, but my sanity's been questionable at times, I'll have to admit. And sometimes it has been due to not planning very well. Some of the things I'm thinking about at the moment are actually just too embarrassing for me to even mention. But never let yourself get into a position where you neither plan nor take action. And so, on that note, what I do want to share with you is one other thing, from a book that I really like a lot, that I highly recommend. It's called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I bought this years ago. It's a fantastic book. You need to pick it up. The chapters are real short. They're like things that you read on a daily basis, maybe one at a time. And it's been around for a while. The basic idea here is, it says, right here, the timeless art of turning trials into triumphs. So that's the whole idea. It's helping you to overcome obstacles and making them work to your advantage. So this little chapter right here, and this is very small, it's very, very short. It's called Prepare to Act. It's very apropos for what we're talking about right now. And it starts off with a quote by Shakespeare. The quote says this: "Then imitate the actions of the tiger, stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood." It's pretty nifty, isn't it? I like that. But here's what Ryan Holiday says about this, about preparing to act. He says, problems are rarely as bad as we think, or rather, they are precisely as bad as we think. It's a huge step forward to realize that the worst thing to happen is never the event, but the event and losing your head. Because then you have two problems, one of them unnecessary and post hoc. The demand on you is this. Once you see the world as it is, for what it is, you must act. The proper perception, objective, rational, ambitious, clean, isolates the obstacle and exposes it for what it is. A clearer head makes for steadier hands, and then those hands must be put to work. Good use. We all have to make assumptions in life. We have to weigh the cost and benefits. No one is asking you to look at the world through rose-colored glasses. No one is asking for noble failure or martyrdom. But boldness is acting anyway, even though you understand the negative and the reality of your obstacle. Decide to tackle what stands in your way, not because you're a gambler defying the odds, but because you've calculated them and boldly embrace the risk. After all, now that you've managed perceptions properly, what's next is to act. Are you ready? Well, are you ready? You know, that's the thing. You need to be in a good mental state. And to be in a good mental state is to remain open and willing to fail as well as being willing to succeed, but also having the courage to act and being smart enough to prepare. All right, guys, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. If you would please just share this video on your Facebook or in some way, just share it one time with somebody, and that would greatly help me out. And you could even caption it with something like, this is the most awesome guy in the world. He has the best things to say. He's my hero. He's everything I want to be. Okay, you may not want to put all that. That might not be thinking too clearly. But if you would at least share this with in one way or with one person, I would be greatly appreciative of it. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so and like this video. And like I said, stay tuned for some of the other videos I have coming up, because if you are a guy with a beard, you're going to love what I have for you. And if you're a woman who's looking for gifts for your man, you're going to want to know about this also. So continue to watch. I do appreciate your time. Enjoy your Saturday. Have a great weekend, guys. I will catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.